This morning, sun kissed my face. Grab my coffee, life's a fast-paced race. I know. I put on my shoes, but no stops or waste. Headed out the door, no stress, no stress. I'm feeling good now. For my groove and sake, a brand new day just left again. Easy Monday motivation. Time to slow it down. We keep moving to the sound. Easy Monday motivation. Feeling the rhythm, it's deep in my soul. Fantastic energy got me in control. Oh, hear the beat drop, you know we won't stop. Trust the process, climb me to the top, the top. In the air, so I need some more. Each step forward, easy Monday motivation. Feels good. Slowing down. We keep moving towards time. Easy Monday motivation. Let's break it down, turn life around. With every step we take, we touch new ground. Positive, my vibe, that's all right. Drawn by, feel deep, line. Easy Monday motivation. We are all about you. So feels good, and it feels good. No time to slow it down. We keep moving to the sound. Easy Monday motivation.
Easy. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Easy Monday Motivation, where we are motivation. We are happy to be back with you. Season 3, kicking it off, enjoying it. What's up, everybody out there in listening land? How y'all doing? What up, CT? What up, Johnny?
What's up?
Man, we back in it. This is episode 3 of season 3. We've made it to episode 43, and we're going to have on today a special guest, an OG, whose name starts with T.
Hey.
And we're keeping the theme going. We said we wanted to have generational conversations this year just to really discuss some things that really drive us and drive the changes to be what it is today. Like, why not? Because you don't go forward without having a clear understanding of where you come from, right? So today's episode is a continuation from the previous episode where we were taking it back to school days. You know, back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And I still wish I was a kid again. You know what I mean? So we're about to have the most fun today because we do have a special guest, like I said, that's going to come on. He's a professional with almost 30 years of experience. We've been waiting to get this guy on the show.
Hold on. Look, Johnny is glowing. Like,
I know, right?
That's who he is. Johnny is glowing. Like, oh my God.
Yes, it's the smartest, kindest, reliable.
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and call it out today. No pandering today, Johnny. I'm saying that just to you. So we're gonna call that out. But today's episode is special because, like I said, it is a continuation of the conversation we already had, where we kind of talked about our experiences growing up and experience education, and we all have different experiences, right? So today we want to kind of like focus on societal conversation. Like last week we talked about us, right? You know, this week we kind of want to go into getting the perspective of what we're watching, you know what I'm saying, what we're seeing, because I got kids that, you know, my 18-year-old and 20, soon to be 24-year-old, you know, they had a different experience with education. As I helped them, they had a different experience when I, you know, with the types of tests they took, you know, the types of tools they had available to them. So I want to kind of talk to you guys today, you know, and get some, you know, feedback and some experiences that you guys got to experience your kids go through. And then we want to bring on our special guest who's going to talk to us about his experience over almost 30 years of watching it transpire, right? Like somebody that's been in the trenches that can tell you like, oh yeah, I remember when your kids used to learn A's and B's and do cursive. No, they don't do that no more. So we look forward to hearing from that. But before we do all of those things, we do got to go around and check on everybody and make sure everybody's good. So I'm going to come to you first, CT, because I'm going to let Johnny, my liege, go last today. But
I'm so happy and excited.
Oh yeah, you glowing, girl. Whatever skin problems that we was talking about in season 1, she done fixed them, y'all. Look at my girl. She done fixed them. She's like, what y'all doing? I done did.
That was good.
So CT, how you
we know the name of the product, E. We know the name of the product. She'll name the product during the direction.
No. She ain't naming the product until we get sponsored by them. Then we'll say it out loud. Then it's go use. Like, yeah.
There you go.
No, man. Listen, it's Olympics time, man. You know what I'm saying? And like we talked about early in last week's episode, I'm still excited about what's happening with the Olympics, and I'm a big fan. Like, whether it is archery or ping pong or basketball or swimming, I'm looking forward to when track shows up. Like all of the things Olympics is made. And I have 2 weeks where I'm not on the road. But listen, after this episode, I'm gonna hit the road for a couple of weeks. So glad to be in the space with y'all. All is well. Doing the things that I know how to do the way I do them. So it's good to be in the pod today.
That's what's up.
Good to see. Good to see. I'm deeply excited for this conversation, right? Because I was told I needed to behave. So whatever that means.
I didn't say it.
Eric told me I had to behave on this episode, but wait till my friend, my dog, till our guest show up on the episode. So here we go.
I'm gonna let that slide today because my job this season is to not be the agent of chaos that I can be where I shouldn't be, because because when people fabricate things and say it out loud, we're gonna let them fabrics just exist. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna roll them up and turn them into pillows that they can sit on. Okay. There we go. I just want you to know that's how that works. So my update is the fish tank is on Crystal right now. I'm enjoying the fish. Lemmy, who was going through hell, is like he is back in full growth mode. I don't know what I did. Yeah, like the banana water thing, all of that. He's super green again, starting to get like a lot of growth and new growth. So I don't know. Maybe he just was having a teenager fit because, this happens. Your kids go through stuff. You know what I'm saying? And, maybe I was giving him the wrong assignments and he was just lashing out and like trying to act out. So, but now my plant baby is acting right. Okay. So, yeah. Lemmy is back on the Mindy. So we're going to be cool there. I'm good too. I'm getting ready for some travel. My son is about to start his first year in college, so dad wants to go out there and help him move into the dorms. And yes, thank you, CT, and be there, what I'm saying, for that. And then I'm getting the heck out of Dodge, you know what I'm saying, because it's like, all right, dude, you're an adult. All right, I see you when tax time comes up and you want to talk about that, you know what I'm saying. Otherwise, now I ain't got nothing for you, man. I gotta be honest, I didn't graduate from college because I gained my knowledge in other ways. I didn't have the traditional path, and I'm very proud of him for doing it, which is why I will make it a very, very firm point that I would be there for my kid, right? So with that said, that's me in a nutshell. No, this is me in a nutshell. No, okay, so Johnny, my liege.
That was actually good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Hey, y'all talking about? CT, you talked about the Olympics. Have you watched Sprint? That documentary on Netflix. Have you watched that yet?
And he has. Absolutely, yes.
Oh, so good. We've been stuck in that one. That's good. Yes. So I do have an update that I wanted to share with y'all.
Oh,
since we've been talking about education.
Yeah.
I figured I would share with you all. I created a student planner, and we can talk more about this during our episode because of where this planner came from. I'm sure our guests would love to discuss this, but it's a student planner with diverse images, and it also has inspirational quotes that's available on Amazon. So our folks gotta check it out, y'all. Yeah.
Okay.
Just in time for school. Come on, student planner.
No.
Okay. All right. So just know you can go on Amazon and order the student planner from the Easterlings. They got it popping out there. Okay. Make sure you go in there and buy it. And if you do buy it and you want to give some feedback, make sure you put some reviews on there. They want to get some stars on their products as well. So make sure you show that love. Thank you, Johnny Molly. Now you may continue.
Need. That's what it was created out of. So we'll talk about that at another time. But yes. Yeah.
All right, so you can give your regular update now outside of your.
Hey, commercial. All proceeds are going to. Sorry, I'm not going to speak for y'all, Johnny. All proceeds go to the Short Dog Foundation.
No.
No. All proceeds go to the libations that help the creations for your. Okay, right there we go.
And you can participate in that if you would like. For sure.
For adult only. Okay, so Johnny, I was gonna see like so Ace is okay too because we got to check on my guy.
Ace is doing very well. Ace is an angel.
Oh, angel.
He's sweet. He's smart. He's well behaved. He's well behaved. And I hear something in the background, and I know it could not be like anything against what I'm saying. The opposite of what I'm saying, because that's what's happening with Ace. So yeah.
Hey, E, I gotta share something with you. The other day, I was minding my own business, and my phone rang, and
oh no,
my phone rang. E, I think it was an accidental call.
You ain't right.
Accidental call, and I said hello because I knew because the name of the person came up,
not right.
And I said hello, and nobody answered, but they were talking, and the person who was talking,
I'm the queen.
Didn't know that they were talking, and so I would say that the description that was just given about Ace was not what I heard. At the time I was listening, I hung up because I was like, wow, I cannot keep listening to how this.
And I can hear our guest laughing right now too. Because he knows what was. You know what, CT? I'm gonna get you back. You ain't right.
I do. I didn't. I've not said anybody's name. I'm just sharing a story about a situation that occurred, that happened. That based upon what was just described, it's not accurate, people. I just, Johnny, this season we talked about making sure that you were coming with your full and authentic self, that you was gonna be honest with the listeners and wasn't just gonna show the, just the nice and sweet Johnny. You was gonna let us know who the true Johnny was. So tell the truth, Johnny.
I said, but did you hear everything I said? He said, yes, I heard everything you said. I mean, Ace is wild, y'all. That's all I'll say.
There it is. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted.
Okay. Okay. So no, it's okay because guess who taught me this? Somebody taught me something that two things can be true at the same time. So there could have been a moment where Ace was being wild that Johnny had to give him the Johnny on the spot. But on the other occasions, outside of that moment in particular, he could have been all of the things that she had described. I'm just saying, like, that is what I learned from season 2. Is that not true? The two things cannot be true.
Honest answers only.
No, two things can be true. Honest answers only. But I was just simply because I only heard one side of the truth.
Okay. Let me just.
Hey, no, wait. Before you do that, hey, Cam, run that new hashtag for me. Go ahead. Run that new hashtag jumper cables because you are a starting snit. Okay.
I didn't start nothing. I was just.
Yes, you did.
You actually amplified the point in the most exceptional way because two things could be true. Johnny shared, somebody shared one side of it. They didn't share the other side of it. And I was just simply wanted to make sure that in the context of this show, because honest answers only, we need to do both sides. So there was no need, Eve, for you to amplify the good side. There was also another side that needed to be shared.
Of all people that, first of all, y'all know I'm the queen of butt dial. I will in a minute. Yeah. But of all people to hear all the things that I was saying about this dog, and it was CT. I said, "Oh my gosh!" But I couldn't do nothing but laugh.
Oh man, that's funny. And you know, it's okay though. Hey, Ace. I mean, run wild, my child. Do your thing, my G. I see you out here. I mean,
I know. It's gonna be the best on the next episode.
Yeah, you're the happy puppy. That's all we need to know. So, so with that, you know what I'm saying. I'm very happy to hear that Ace is okay, because you know we watched the transition of Ace from puppy Ace to you wanted to throw Ace off of something, to you actually describing him as a sweet, loving puppy and all those things with the contrast that CT added. But we'll leave all of those things to people's interpretation. So before we jump into today's topic, I'm just going to throw a fun question out there to you guys, so we can kick off like this conversation. Do you guys have a favorite teacher that you remember from back in the day?
Oh my gosh!
And if you did, tell me the teacher, what the subject was, and why they were your favorite teacher.
Yes. I can go right now.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Mr. Nye was so live. He was the English teacher, but what was so dope about him is that at the beginning, probably like the first 30 minutes of class, not that I'm adult and looking back, it was probably like taking up a lot of time, but the first 30 minutes of class, like he would just get out the newspaper and talk about things that was happening in the news. He would bring in jazz records that we had never heard, you know, that he thought that maybe we had never heard of before, and would play that and talk about like Miles Davis and John Coltrane and stuff like that. And he would just talk about life in general before class even started. And I just always thought that was so dope. It was so fun and so interesting. It kept us engaged.
Nice. Yep. Oh, okay.
Yep.
CT.
Her name was Mrs. France. Franz. Mrs. France at Wesleyan High School. Shout out to all my Wesleyan High School people out there. Mrs. France was our choir director. But she was not just choir director, but she did all the musicals and all the plays. And she was just absolutely the most encouraging and inspiring person. And she pushed us. Like we ended up having some award-winning choirs and bands. And it was the very first play I was ever in was Guys and Dolls. And I was a character of Big Julie back in high school. And I wasn't going to do that, but Mrs. France motivated me to be a part of that. And so she is someone who all of us think of very highly, but she was somebody that pushed us, right, to do the things that we were not necessarily like, nah, I ain't gonna do that, or I'm not gonna be good at that, or no, she would be the one that would be like, she would inspire you and encourage you. So if you want the seeds of inspiration in terms of how you motivate people, i.e. Christopher Thompson, Mrs. France is one of those people who helped guide that. So shout out to Mrs. France, high school, 1990.
Okay, Mrs. France. All right, she laid in you. I had a lot of good teachers for a lot of good reasons, and I had a lot of good teachers for a lot of bad reasons. So like I'm a little like conflicted. Like I have a favorite teacher for the right thing, and I have a favorite teacher for the wrong thing, right? Me too. So, you know, it's like we got to be honest, right? Because some teachers play both sides, right? Where you're like, all right, cool. So, and I'm lucky enough that they were like they were a married couple. So I had Mr. and Mrs. Schaefer. And Mr. Schaefer was the, he was the science teacher and she was the home ec teacher, right? So he absolutely loved me. And that's because I was really attentive in his class and like I love science as a subject, and he was really animated and all those things. So we had fun in there, and I loved her too, but it was because I could go in her class and get in trouble and she would be okay with that.
Okay.
Because I was good at all the other stuff, you know what I'm saying? So she didn't mind. She was like, well, he's just a little playful, blah, blah, blah. So I would be able to, we be in home ec. You know how home ec was. People don't even remember home ec, but like I was cooking and learn how to do stuff, and I was really good at it. So I would do it real fast or whatever, and then she'd be like, "Okay, go entertain yourself." So I'd be off to the side doing all type of stuff. So,
of course.
But yeah, like she let me do whatever I wanted. So I can't say that's a great thing, but at the same time, it fostered my creativity. And without her, I probably wouldn't even have a Scotch with E. So shout out to the teachers putting in the work, making the mark, and holding strong to wanting to do right by kids and give back to our our future. So with that said, I am very excited to introduce our first guest of the season, and somebody who has, again, I said, has 27 plus years of experience in the educational field. Not only is he one of Columbus's finest, right? He also has the privilege of being able to tell my liege sometimes to leave him alone. And when you got that type of power, you're a king, right? So I want to call and bring on the man that makes sure education ain't scary, the dude that always gonna make your dreams come true like a fairy, the greatest teacher out here in the world, my man Terry. Come on, bring on my man Terry. Terry.
Hey, what's up? Thank you for the introduction, my man. Love that. Sure.
Terry, thank you so much for being here. I know you were sitting back waiting.
Me.
Oh, you know what? We wouldn't be able to do this episode without you, because none of us are like educational professionals, right? Like I worked as an instructional assistant, intervention aide for a while, which only allowed for me to tell kids that they need to sit still so they can learn. But I ain't teach them nothing. It's okay. I know how that works. I worked on the buses too, so I was like, get in there so you can learn. So I did all of that. But Terry, thank you so much for being here. Like, we want to first let you kind of introduce yourself. You don't have to tell us specifically what school you work at. Tell us why you chose education and some of the best things about being a teacher today.
Well, gosh, you know what? I've been wanting to be a teacher since I was 9 years old. I can't tell you exactly what the reason was, but I just felt something from that early age. And everything I did after that, if I was working with youth groups or something like that, I always wanted to teach the little kids in class or show kids something. It's just something I've always had in me since I was very young. But now, as I got older, I just kind of figured this is what I need to do to kind of give back to to my people, So when I graduated college from Kentucky State University, HBCU.
Shout out to HBCUs. Yeah. That's right.
I knew I wasn't going to a suburban district or anything like that. I was going back to my people. So I went to a large district not large district, but a district in Ohio. I won't say which one, prior to coming to district here in Central Ohio. And I did 3 years there before coming to the large district in Central Ohio, where I've been for the last 20 plus years right now. So but it's always just been a part of me, wanting to give back and teach people. And like I said, I've got nothing I can point to that led me to that, but it's just something that's always been in me.
Okay. Well, a calling is what a calling is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. When somebody got a calling, they got a calling. Okay. So I wanted to kind of let you kind of introduce yourself and give us that, because one of the things that I think that is very important for us to kind of talk about is, and I know we kind of got to talk about our experiences in the previous episode, is what is the state of education today, right? When we think about where we are, we're about to go into, it's an election year. There's a lot of important topics on the ballot. Those kitchen table topics are still real. But the way we used to do it back in the day really was at the kitchen table, at the dinner table. We would talk politics, we would talk education, we would talk, how to improve on the system. Today, it's not the same. So, Terry, I just want to kind of get, in your opinion, what is the state of education today?
Okay, well, I started way back in 1997. And back then, you had students that were willing to work. You had parents that were very supportive of what you were trying to do with their kids. As time moved on, we've seen a change, and there are a lot of reasons for that change. We've had No Child Left Behind thrown at us. I say thrown at us as a teacher. We've had a pandemic that has really changed everything in the last few years. So yeah, it's not the same as it was. Nowadays, teachers are normally, it seems like if there are issues in the classroom, some of the teachers are blamed for the issues instead of making kids accountable. I'll give you a classic example. When I taught this year, I teach fifth grade, and I've taught everything from second grade up to middle school to sixth, seventh grade. But this year I taught fifth grade, and I had a project for social studies that I had the students do. I gave them a month to do it. I gave them time in class to do it. But a lot of kids, for whatever reason, didn't get it finished. And I had a parent come to me and say, excuse me, let me clear this up. After the due date, I had a parent come to me and say, so-and-so wanted to turn his project in, and he said that you said he can't turn it in. And I said, well, no, ma'am, it was late. He had a month to do it. And she said, well, can I come in and talk to you? I said, yeah, all right, but he's not going to be able to turn it in. But she came in anyway, and she starts going off, and she starts going into how, and I felt for this. It was tough being a single parent, and this and that, and I was doing this and I couldn't help him with the project and everything else. But with that, I said he had a month. We did stuff in class. I gave him everything he didn't have. Where's the accountability for this young fella? And that's the biggest point that I see nowadays with parents is their kids, they don't hold their kids accountable. I can't be the only one that holds your kid accountable. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that is a very big issue. It has turned from when I started. When I started back in 97, I had a lot of kids that were just like, in the other districts off the hook, and I would tell their parents and they come the next day, things were straight. That doesn't happen today. Okay. Yeah. It does not happen today that making sure your kid's accountable, doing what they're supposed to do, even after you tell the parent, your child is disrupting my room. I can't do what I need to do because they're doing this, that, and that. Nothing happens, man. So it's different from when it started. The support. Now, I'm not saying all parents are like that. It's not. Yeah. You've got some that are really supportive. If you tell them, they're gonna fix it. But a lot, back in the day, it was almost like everybody. Not so much now. And that's the biggest thing. Accountability for the kids, a lot of times is not there, which leads to other things, with the kids. And I can, point to some reasons that I think may have contributed to that. For example, kids are not prepared the way they used to be. Remember when we went back in the day, you went to, back where I'm from in Dayton, you went to Gold Circle and you got your pencils and you got your erasers and you got everything and you were pumped and ready to go to school. Yeah, you got your planners, you got everything. You were ready for school.
Yeah.
So now, and I've seen this probably in the last 5 years, where you will send out a list to the parents, an email, and say, this is what your kids need to have. And literally on day one, they will come with nothing. Yeah. And the expectation is that you, as a teacher, you got to provide pencils, you got to give them paper, this and that. And I think another thing that contributes to that is that a lot of districts now try to have these drives where they give the students the backpacks, the pens, and everything else. So a lot of parents don't feel the need to buy those resources anymore. And I think they also don't understand that those resources ain't gonna last but to the middle of maybe the first week of October. Yeah. You got to kind of replenish that stuff, and we can't do all of that. We do what we can, but we need a lot of help from parents, and even when you get on your email or your dojo or whatever the classroom communication is, we don't see a lot of that support anymore. But we still try to do what we can for the kids as best as we can, you know.
Yeah.
So and Terry, what I'm gonna pull out of there the two main things that I heard you really point to. Number one, accountability is a big factor, and I think while we speak to the child's accountability and the parent holds them accountable, we also are speaking to the readiness aspect of it too, which falls into the accountability of the parent, right? So to take both of those things, right? And then I'm gonna give it to Johnny and CT so that they can tap in. But to take both of those things and say that from in the last almost 30 years, we've watched accountability of student effort dwindle along with the readiness activities that we used to go to. And now we see a dependency mindset of I need the teachers to supply every bit of readiness, every bit of materials, all the tools. So there is no, I guess the final question I'm going to ask before I pass it off is, do you feel that there's no education in the home anymore?
Wow. You said some stuff. To be quite honest, very few homes are doing that. And I say, and I don't know about you all, and I don't know how old anybody is, but I know when I came up, I vividly remember my mama reading to me and saying, go get that book up in the bookshelf and read this Disney book to me. I vividly remember, this is a tough one for me. I could not do my subtraction when you had to, Carol borrowing all that. I couldn't do it. And I remember it was in the summertime. And I wanted to go out and play. And my daddy was like, boy, you can't even subtract. What you going outside to play for? It's summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Said, what you doing? Basically, you need to do this. And he would give me like 5 problems I had to do before you take yourself in that street. You better show me you can do the basic before you get to playing. That ain't happening anymore, I don't think. Some people do that. But the majority of folks are not holding students accountable. And I can tell you, I'm gonna tell you this, okay? This in a school I was in, we had a basketball team. All right, one of the few schools around this particular district that had a basketball team. And on that team, we had some guys that didn't necessarily do what they were supposed to do in classrooms. They had gotten into fights and done all type of stuff. Basically, they didn't do what they were supposed to do. I go to the coach and tell him that, this kid's not doing this, man. He had a month to do this. He ain't doing this, man. How he still playing? And he said, oh, yeah, I'm going to talk to him. That kid got to play the whole season. He missed 2 major projects, got in a fight in the bathroom at a dance, okay? And the other one stole from 3 different teachers, but they were allowed to continue to play. Accountability, whether that is just not there. And it's not just at home. We see it a lot of times in the school building. And myself, as a former coach, a long time ago, used to be an assistant coach at Eastmore and whatnot. You have to hold kids accountable for what they do and don't do. Okay. Yeah. And that wasn't the case. So if parents aren't holding them accountable in home, I think we have to hold them accountable at school. And sometimes because you're not in the right position, that doesn't happen. And then kids start to believe I can do whatever I want. I did this, and this, and didn't get kicked off the basketball team. Then when the season's over, I'm still not doing the work I'm supposed to do, and I still get to, do whatever I want. So we all have to come together from the school side and the parent side to get kids where they need to be. But that starts, the first thing, it always starts with being accountable. Yeah. You got to do what you're supposed to do. And if you don't do it, you need to get penalized. But if you're not penalized for what you don't do, why the heck am I going to do it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
That's it.
I agree. CT, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Man, you are talking right?
Yes, this is good. This is good.
But listen, can I just be real, like funny
Yes,
and not
sir.
funny for a minute? Like as you were
Absolutely.
talking, it occurred to me that this is actually some of the best preparation for corporate America that I think I've ever heard, in the sense
Oh,
that
wow.
like lack of resources, lack of accountability, still being able to do the things that you need to do and want to do, even without having done the thing that you were responsible for doing,
Thank
and you
you.
pass it
Right.
off to somebody else.
Thank you.
I'm just saying.
Seriously, CT, I say it all the time.
Listen, I
Yes.
was sitting here, I was like, man, this sounds a whole lot like the spaces and places we work in.
Isn't
But
that what I
man,
told you, Sarah? Yep.
right? Listen, like I do want to keep the focus on where we are, but I'm lost in this idea that I have not yet heard you talk about um who you are in the context of this pod. Now, there may be a listener who might have context for your position. We do recognize you as an educator, but I don't think we have yet been able to extract from your mouth to our ears who you actually might be in the context of whoever else might be on this particular pod. Would you just take just maybe 90 seconds and just extrapolate, expand, expositorize on making it very funny, who you might be for others, or maybe one person in particular on this call. Just take a quick second for us.
Oh, okay. That's my shorty right there. You know what I mean?
Hey, baby.
No, I am Johnny's husband. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. If y'all gonna hold that against me or not. So I guess we'll
Depending on the
see as the
day.
podcast goes on.
Depends on the
Teach
day.
us, teach us. Like, so I wanted to do that because as you're sharing, like you are talking about like what you represent in the industry and the things that you are experiencing in the industry that you happen to work in. But what's really clear is that you are something I never saw when I was in school and I was a black
Mhm.
male teacher. And so when
Yes.
you start thinking about like what you represent and how people see you, like how important is that in the industry? And then more specifically, you've got some ladies who are in your home. Like how does that influence them, you being the educator, the teacher?
That's an excellent point. Yeah, I never had a black teacher coming up either. Yeah, I went to
Yeah,
predominantly white schools and never had a black teacher. And for me, I can see that it is, I guess for some people it's actually life changing. I can see kids that I've had. I started in the large district that I worked in. I started probably about in 2000. And I'll have kids that I had back in 2002 or three come
Mm,
up to me and say,
yeah.
"Hey, Mr. E." And I'm like, "Who is this?" "I had you in class. You did this." "Man, I'm doing this and this because I remember you said this and the third and about working hard." And I'll sit there like, y'all was really listening to what I was saying? And you don't,
yeah,
when you see some of these jokers every day and get to see how they acting, especially like fourth and fifth grade, you don't think, you may say it, but you don't think it's really going to resonate with these young people. You hope it does, but you don't really
yeah,
think it's going to. And then when you see some people come back at almost 30 years old and say, "Yeah, man, I'm doing this. I'm about to do this. I got my wife and kids. I remember you was married too." And it's just like the little stuff that they see with you, they carry that. And it
yeah,
becomes a very important part of who they become down the road.
Mhm.
It's so much so I have people who will start the school year off and I'll have a class, and then my administrator will come to me and say, "You may have 3 or 4 more students because these parents want their kid to be in your classroom." And I say, "What?" And they say, "Yeah, they talked to so and so's mama, and they want them to be in your room," which is an absolute honor to
yeah,
hear that, because
Yeah.
that's when you know I'm making a difference. somewhere. People are out there talking about they want to be in my classroom. That's an honor, especially since I'm not the easiest cat to deal with as far as these kids are concerned. They know I will have a conversation, for lack of a better term, with you when you are not doing what you need to do. And if we need to take it to your parents, I'll have a conversation with them too, and we can get all this straight. Because what you need to do now prepares you for later. And I need your mama, your daddy, your auntie, your grandma, whoever you got to deal with needs to understand this too, so that we can move you along. Because I only got you for this grade here. But what I tell you now, I need you to understand so it carries you forward. Because I always tell them, you ain't going to have another Mr. E. You're just not. If you're lucky to have another black teacher, you good. But I can tell you, he ain't going to be like me. But for the most part, you're not going to have him. You need to listen to what I'm telling you so you can move forward. And I see kids coming back, so they are listening and they're doing well. And they tell me what you said to me back in this time is help me to move forward and do what I had to do. So that right there is worth
everything.
The low pay that they give us. That's worth everything though, for real.
Listen, my wife was a teacher for 20 years and then she got out, and I'm grateful that she got out. But I want you to tap into the father part, right? Because there's something about you being a dad here in this conversation I think is equally important, especially because, as you talked about earlier, the responsibility and accountability of the parent, right, in the role they're supposed to play is really critical. So there's some model behavior that that they see from you that I think is important for us to kind of add into this conversation.
Yes. Well, we have 2 daughters, and from what I hear in the house, I am the tough one, the one who's always on somebody's back, this and that. But I'm like that because I understand what it is as you move through school, particularly because you are black girls. And I tell them the truth. Ain't nobody checking for you. Ain't nobody listening to you. You have got to do you. You're going to have to work hard, and you're going to have to stop thinking that you got people in your corner. You may have some, but the 2 going to be in your corner are named Terry and Johnny. Other than that, don't expect nobody to be there. But you need to put forth the same effort, the same work, and whatever you do, I don't care if that's your chemistry, your science, whatever, or you playing volleyball or softball. You need to put forth 100% in everything you do, and it can't be no lax, because you have to be 10 times better than the average cat, if you catch my drift. You have to be. Because some people can be mediocre and still be on top. That ain't going to happen for you. And I try to instill that, and she tries to instill that in our girls all the time, because, it's a sad situation, but America wasn't set up for you. But you still going to have to navigate your way through it.
Yeah.
We're here to have your back, but we're also trying to give you the tools that are necessary for you to be successful while you move through that. So
that's good. That's good.
Right.
That's good.
Right.
I'm so proud.
So we made her wait, CT, because we know she has no questions. She gonna ask him like, "Are we gonna see each other, lady, baby, daddy?" That's what she gonna be asking.
She gonna ask me, "What you cooking for dinner?"
See, right? That's
what made you fall in love? No,
right. Terry,
you right, Terry. No,
Terry. Enough about you and your education stuff. What made you so smart to pick me? It's like, what class did you choose this classy lady?
I would never ask him things like that in public, because Terry gonna clown me. So I am not going to do that. No,
go ahead, Johnny. But I want to pass it over.
Okay. I was just gonna say I'm super proud just sitting here listening to everything he's saying, because it's just right on the mark. Terry, but you also mentioned about, I'm just want to kind of keep that thread going just a little bit about what CT was talking about, because you mentioned you going to an HBCU. You are a very proud HBCU alum. And I just kind of want to tap into that a little bit. Like, what how did that play a part in you being an educator and a father? Like, what impact has that had on you as an adult and what you try to teach your kids in school and then your actual children?
Wow. You know, I would say going to Kentucky State was just, it wasn't in the plans first. I went to JUCO for 1 year, and I was trying to go somewhere else. And I had a friend who happened to get 3 applications from a woman at church. We were all, I'm one of those guys who went to church. All my boys went to church. I'm still cool with them. They live around the corner, But we got this application and we put this in, and we came back and like, oh, we got in. And we didn't know anything about the school. We didn't even know it was HBCU. The only thing we kept saying is like, it's in Frankfurt. And we were thinking about like, oh, that's like Columbus. It's the capital. It's got to be live down there. Let's go. And that's why we went. And then we got down there. We were like, oh, this is a hillbilly. Something. No offense against hillbillies, but I'm just saying it was just not like, it wasn't what we thought. But I tell you what, over time with all the people we met and everything, it was the greatest experience of my life, and it helped to shape who I was, and a lot of the principles and stuff that I learned at that school, I tried to come back and give to my daughters and tell them the importance of for instance, going to an HBCU, because the oldest one is about to graduate next year, and I've been talking about Kentucky State. Matter of fact, we were supposed to go to Kentucky State in October for homecoming, but Pittsburgh plays Dallas in Pittsburgh, and I'm like, look, I ain't seen Pittsburgh yet. I got to go to Pittsburgh. She's like,
priorities.
We'll get back down there, but I got to go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. She's like, what? We're not going.
She's like, what? Yeah. I said, I got to go to Pittsburgh. I got to. Got to see Pittsburgh play Dallas.
I'll be in Pittsburgh.
But I just try to instill in them, and we keep trying to tell them the HBC route is where they want to go. We see now how I guess you can say the school PWIs will exploit our students, and and a lot of students want to go because there's now money, scholarship money, NIL, whatever. But I always want to keep them grounded and say, try to go to the school that is going to make sure you get what you need, I should say. Because the schools like the Ohio States and UC, they're not geared towards you. I learned a lot of stuff going to Kentucky State, stuff I know I wouldn't have learned at Ohio State, as far as the culture, Black history, individuals who've done phenomenal things. Those things aren't going to be taught to you at those big universities. They're going to be taught to you at K-State.
Terry, also too, it seems like it is much more of a family environment. Like from the president to the students to your professors, it's just a different type of experience that you're gonna get.
Our president used to walk on campus. She would walk on campus. She was an AKA. She would be talking to the soror. She would talk to us. It wasn't these things like the president is up in this high chair in this building, you got to make an appointment, and all the people that I went to school with, oh my gosh, they like my cousins and my sisters and brothers. And every time I go to homecoming, I don't think of it. I think I'm literally going home to a family reunion every year, seeing how people have progressed, seeing their kids, seeing that some of them have their kids running around doing things. That's what I want my daughters to have. Yeah. When you go back to whatever HBCU and you like, oh, this is my man from this or my girl from this or what, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what I want them to have. You're not going to get that at a PWI if you go to Ohio State or no, what do you say? No, I ain't trying to disrespect Toledo or anything like that. You don't get that feel. You know what I mean?
Shade.
And here's how do we cut them? Let me throw a little bit shade on it for you right quick. This is what my kids do. When I go to homecoming,
Look at that
At
face.
Kentucky State, I'm coming home. I said, here go a sweatshirt. Here go a t-shirt. Here go this and that. They say, Mommy, you go to Toledo, you'll never bring us nothing. You ain't trying to
because
Toledo.
it's
Hey,
too
man, I said, I ain't
expensive.
got
Y'all
nothing to do with
stuff
that.
they be handing
That's
out
your
for like
mama.
$2.
Huh? What you say?
Nothing.
Don't try it then. But it's that love of the university and that
Yes.
family where I say, I'm trying to bring that back and like, you got to get out this K-State. Try to get them to understand that love, And like I said, I want them to have that love for K-State. Excuse me. But if, you want to go North Carolina A&T, or you want to go to Tuskegee, Alabama A&M, whatever you want to do that. But that's what I try to impart to them so they choose one of those types of institutions. But if you get they're both pretty smart. They get scholars to go to somewhere. I'm like, hey, have at it. Have at it, Holmes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah.
So I think what I found really interesting there is in that question of attending an HBCU, what we just listened to was your educational experience, right? And when I think about the generational conversations that we're having around education, like, do we think, and I'm posing this to all of you guys, right? This is more of like a just a general question. Oh my God, everybody's trying to blow me up today.
Famous.
Yeah, no, I'm not famous. Like, do you think that the experiences that you are trying to make sure your daughters have, that you had, do you really think they're still genuinely there? Because, like, Johnny, you went to Toledo. CT, I know you went somewhere like amazing as well. I don't even want to say what school you went to, because if we do, then they'll start a fight in the back. Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it. And I went to the School of Hard Knocks. So, like, when we talk about educational experiences, do we all still think that they're still consistent to what you had today?
Good question.
I would say if you create it, if you go down to, I know if you go down to K-State, and then, I know a lot of my frat brothers and alumni have kids that go there. If you go to that particular school and you have an attitude where you're willing to meet people,
yes,
and you're willing to engage and share and do all those things, I say yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because that's the whole thing. And I think that can be with any university, actually. Yep. But being around, your own and feeling that family, even, you know what I'm saying, when you go to that school, you're going to feel more like family as opposed to going to Toledo, Ohio State. Cause that, you know what I'm saying? And you don't even have to know these people, but it's just different. You know what I mean? It's just different. And I think if you go in there with the open mind, and one, you go down there willing to learn, and you're going to meet people, and just be open to everybody. Absolutely. And it's easier to be open down there as opposed to some of these other schools. But I think if you're open to that, yeah, it'd be just like it. I want her to come home and be like, oh, I got to go to homecoming. That's this, and this. I was like, yeah, you got it. You know what it is. You feeling it.
Yes, I was going to say the same exact thing. That is what you make of it, because he keeps throwing shade, but we ain't going to talk about that. I guess I'm trying to be like professional and act like he's not throwing shade. But at Toledo, that's where I went. Go Rockets. The experience really go Rockets. The experience really is what you make it. Y'all already know, because I've talked about my girlfriends on here from college. Like, we are so close, we are so tight, and it's because of the experiences that you have. Now, you when you're in college, it's those friendships and relationships are so unique because you are literally growing up together.
Right.
We paid rent together. We had to buy groceries together. When one didn't have it, the other one had to pay for it, And so you're really growing up together and coming into your adulthood. And so I know I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the relationship part, but for me, that was the biggest part of going to school right?
Yeah. No, I
that I built along the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and Terry kind of touched on that too, to say is like you go and meet people, be open to the experience of that, then yeah, I definitely could see that as well. CT, do you agree? Do you think that the experience you had in school, even though you were like the superstar jock and like everybody looked up to you, you had the hottest girl that didn't even go to school with you, like you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you was the man. And like, look, we ain't look, I ain't even gonna call him out. Like, this is the man.
Okay. He was the man.
I'm not even sure what to do with that. I think I believe that it is true what Johnny said in that it and what Terry said. So first, it is what you make it, and the relationships that you create help make it last.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, Wittenberg University, go Tigers, and you know, as we talked about in episode 1, there's a whole lot of us who did the Wittenberg experience, and for me, I think the thing that I found most important and significant is that every level of my life, there are people who I have a relationship with that influenced how I actually show up in the world, whether it was elementary school, middle school, high school, college, whether it is the education that I'm getting in the current place that I'm at, right? I'm on this pod today with 2 of the most phenomenal folks and plus 1 in this particular show, right? And I get an education every time we get a chance to spend time together. As I watch you do what you do in the spaces that you do it in, I learn every single time. And so I think what is really important is that whatever it is that wherever we went, there were seeds placed in the ground that are consistently being watered by the new relationships that we create. And so I think that I learned relationships at Wittenberg. I learned how on multiple levels in different circumstances and situations, how to have relationship and to sustain a relationship in a way that because I was on my own. Like I didn't. When I was in high school, middle school, like I had my parents, I had to go, the house to go to, etc. When I went to college, I was on my own. Like I was on my own. So there was something different that I had to learn around what it meant. And I got hurt in those relationships. I was supported in those relationships. Like, so to some extent, that the ability to know that there is something very rich and real about knowing that it is about what you choose and who you choose, but don't get it mistaken. Some of the people that you chose was wrong, and that was okay. And some of the people that you chose were right, and that was okay. It was all about you being able to really get to a place where you are now establishing a foundation about who you are. And whether it was an HBCU and there was something more cultural, whether it was a small private liberal arts college and it was something more unique and authentic, whether it was Toledo and the Rockets, and I have no idea what you could have learned there. But it's the idea that you learned something where you were in that space that helped to transform who you are.
I learned that this is some haters on this podcast.
Not me. Not me. I did not hate on your college. Well, I didn't go to college. I can't make fun of a college if I have never attended one. So that's where I get to be like, okay, all colleges are better than the School of Hard Knocks. So
I don't know. I don't necessarily think that either.
I mean, we all know that you automatically make at least 10% more just because you have a piece of paper in some instances. So let's not play like it doesn't get you something a little bit extra. Okay. All right. So I want to ask. I want to go into some fun stuff about education now, right? Because we've been really serious. We've been talking about a lot of great things, and I kind of want to go back and I want to just have some fun with it. So we're gonna play a little quick round of name an elective, right? And if that elective still exists today,
let's see.
If the elective still exists today, then that's a yay. If it doesn't, then we all got to kind of boo it, because we knew that electives were some of the most special things in school. Without all of the electives that we actually had, like my mom and them, like they told me some of the class stuff they had in like the 60s, the 70s. I was like, y'all had a class for that? I was like, yeah. I'm like, y'all actually learned a lot of life skills in school, right? But now you like, what electives do you have? I can elect to show up on time.
Come on.
And that's about it. Like, after school programs, you want to play sports? You want to play sports? Tell one of your parents to donate a kidney. At least once a year, because that's what it's going to cost for you to try to participate in any sports. But like for real, like I want you guys to think about some of your favorite electives and whether or not they exist today. Terry, I'm gonna come to you. Back when you was in school, what was one of the electives that was around that you enjoyed?
Yeah, finally gonna be like, what? Airbrush.
Airbrush. That was a class?
Yeah, we would airbrush, with an airbrush pen and airbrush designs and paint. We had a class for that. Freshman year. I told you about it the other day because remember I told you about that dude and you was like, I was a freshman, he was a senior. Remember that? Yeah, that was airbrush class.
So AKA graffiti class. This is why that class no longer exists.
Yeah.
Boo.
Yeah.
We got rid of airbrush class. Boo, no more graffiti.
Hey, that's what they taught in Dayton. That was a Dayton class.
You're right. There's a lot of wall murals in Dayton. There's a lot of graffiti in Dayton.
From the elementary schools.
I gotta get them started early at the crib.
They've been tagging their whole life.
I love that.
Warriors come out and play.
You took a graffiti class is what it is.
Okay, CT, what's an elective that you took back in the day that probably doesn't exist anymore?
I have no idea. Like trying to remember an elective. Like the electives that I took were all connected or related to. Like home ec was probably the one, but other than that, it was sports related. It was something home ec, like what was wood shop?
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Those were the things that we took back then. So my memory doesn't go back that far and suggested that there was something fun. Like that I took as an elective that I would have placed inside of my memory in a way that I would want to remember what that experience was. So I think home ec and maybe wood shop were probably the two that I remember of electives that I took.
Okay, all right. And home shop, and shout out to all the home ec and wood shop teachers because I still have the wooden sword that I made, and I still beat people with it. So I'm very proud of it.
I don't think they exist anymore.
Yeah,
I don't think they exist. Home ec and wood shop. I don't even think they're classes anymore.
Dang it! Boo! I knew another boo was coming. Boo!
These jokers can't cook out here.
Didn't you have to put together like a dinner party because of your host a dinner party at home?
Right.
Really?
Year I had to for a home ec class. I had to put a dinner party together, and I had like I say 12 people come, and I made this
really
beef stroganoff. That was what we had to do for it. That was our project, and we had to, people had to write down what it tastes like, and I had to turn that in. Yeah, I had a whole dinner party with a stroganoff, a salad, a dessert, and they wrote that, and I had to turn that in. Yeah, that was it.
So it's like what you were saying, E. It was real life skills.
Yeah. Man, I would have had so much fun in that class. I'd have been over there, Salt Bay and everything. You need
man.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, they ain't got to
love that.
All right, Johnny. What about you?
Why, Mom? Why did I not have like
man.
Like that? I feel slighted.
Missed out on the graffiti. I'm still sad. All right, Johnny. What about you? What's your favorite elective?
Well, you know what? I'm going to have to say this is not funny or fun in any way. It was driver's ed. And the reason why I'm saying it's not funny is because they are not, give me a boo, E. I want to boo. They are not offering that in school anymore.
Yeah.
You have to pay outside of school. I don't even. How much do we pay? It was a few.
It's like $500
Yeah,
for like the
that.
class.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before it was just an elective. Once you reached a certain age, you could take it in
Mhm.
class, and then that was it. And then you guys drove after school. Now you got to pay for that mess outside of school, and it's
crazy.
a lot of money.
It is.
And that's the thing about education now. You see so many programs that we had when we were in school, they're getting taken out. You know, they're all going by the wayside, and now you have to pay for that. If you want your child to be able to drive, or you know, you may have to teach them yourself how to cook and all these things that we learned. I even learned to sew in 7th and 8th grade.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
From that stuff. Yeah, we did sewing too.
Yeah.
You
know,
I'm glad my kids is old because I don't have to worry about
that.
So
you don't worry about no more.
So I'm gonna go ahead and be the one to say the class that everybody didn't skip past, because I remember having it. Y'all remember sex ed?
Oh yeah.
Look at that. Look at everybody's face. Like, we used to actually have sexual education class where they went over all of the diseases, all of every detail, and they would show you a video. And you'd gross guy. You'd be like, oh, what is that? Oh my God, is that a thing? And they're like,
yes.
Like, yes. And it traumatized you until dances. And then you was like, oh, she kind of cute.
Yeah.
Let's go back and now all of a sudden it was the worst class you ever had, because you like, I can remember what they did in that video. So I can understand why sex ed was removed, but at the same time, like, yeah, we should have kept that. It's very important, especially now when we think about the lack of accountability in the crazy world that we live in today with the promiscuity of everything. So yeah. All right, but so I'm gonna go ahead and boo on that one. Boo. Get rid of sex ed.
We teach that in 5th grade now.
Oh.
Sex ed still exists?
So what happens is towards the end of the year, right before that last quarter, well, it used to be where if you have a male teacher, he would keep all the guys and the female teacher keep all the girls, and they watch a video. That's basically what it is. We're not up there teaching anything. They just watch this video, and at the end of watching this video, you get a pack of deodorant, girls get their feminine needs or whatever, and that's it. That's it. Or if the teachers don't do it, the nurse does it.
Sex ed becomes an end of year before summer 5th grade video with no context, and they give you deodorant and stuff to be like, yeah, you might go out there and get sweaty, Betty. You need
that's it.
You might need to put
now.
I
don't know what happens after 5th grade, but I don't know if we're just the initial start of it, but that's how it goes down. It's in the 4th quarter, and with everything at the end of the year, I'm telling you, it's kind of rushed. They're like, oh, we got to get this in. Oh, okay.
I didn't know.
When you coming this day? Yeah, we come this day, watch this video, be like, here you go. And that's it.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So hold up. So I still can't count that as a class as much as that is on the curriculum, right?
Right.
Yeah. Hey, just at the end of the day, make sure we get this attestation that they've actually been sexually educated by the end of the year. We just gonna make sure we get that little dot in there. Make sure that everybody's in attendance, and anybody that's there, you need to reach out to them, send them the link to the video, make sure that they watch it at home with their parents, and get that
deodorant.
Yeah, get that deodorant too. You gotta send that deodorant out there. Okay.
That's it.
Wow. Wow. That is
which is why it goes so many different directions in this part of the conversation. This and it speaks to the power of social media, and even by 5th grade, what you have seen, heard, and or experienced, that video is trash, right? The video hasn't taught you anything, because if you've given a child a phone, I'm sorry.
Oh, come on. No, bring it. Come on.
Giving them a phone. They like, what do I need the video for? I've already seen it. I've heard it. I've experienced it. Like this part of this could go to part 3 of a dialogue that we could have around the generational traumas that exist because we were too afraid to tell the truth about what was really going on in our ecosystem, which is created an environment where it is so much more difficult for us to capture the hearts and the minds of our teens, our youth, our ability to say, wait a minute, here is what's real and here is what's not.
That's
Because
true.
you're learning it through these other mediums, because we removed it from the system that said, here is where you learn things. You learn math, you learn science, you learn educate, like you learn stuff here. And we said, well, there are some things that you're just not supposed to learn. And then if I could just be I feel a soapbox coming. Like then you couldn't do it in church. So where were they learning it? And so as you think about the story you told us around accountability, Terry, earlier in the conversation. So if there's no accountability for them doing the homework that they needed around their math, around the stuff that you were assigning from social studies or whatever, then there's no accountability then in what they was learning about their bodies, learning about what sexuality was, learning about what relationships was, learning about what hormones are. And so now hold on.
I remember. You're so right. I remember a conversation after Terry has had to have one of these talks at the end of the year, and one of the things that he had to tell the kids, like, hey, that's because there's like, hey, Mr. E, well, what about this? Which we will not share on this podcast, but like, hey, well, what about this? And he like, that's not real. Yeah, that's not real. Like, this is the stuff you listen to. So like, you are right on target with that. Like, he really had to say those words like, yo, what are you doing? No, how do you even know about that? That's not real right there.
They're seeing stuff that's not real, man, before they get to me, and they think that's the reality, and you have to explain, because we allow them, I know I do, I allow them to write questions on a piece of paper, and we put it in the hat, and I just draw questions out so nobody feels embarrassed, and try to do the best I can to answer it. Because I ain't, ain't your mom and dad. I do what I can without going too far, but they really have some questions, and you'd be surprised at what fifth graders are doing and seeing, and you like, God, dog, man. But that phone, that technology, ooh-wee, and then giving out them. Hey, the pandemic did some damage. I'm just gonna say that. The pandemic did some real damage when that technology and being able to be on the Chromebook, and some people allow them to use their phones. That plays a part, man, and it's not necessarily good. It can be, but
what would you tell us? Like, if you got parents that are listening to our conversation, man, like what advice, like as a teacher, right, as an educator, as someone who has our sons and daughters in front of you every day, like what's the advice, man? What's the practical thing that folks should be, could be, can be, and should be doing?
Okay. Well, one, monitor screen time. Make sure they ain't on there all day, and please monitor what they're watching. Okay. As far as the phones and that technology, same thing with the Chromebooks in school. Make sure when they take them home that they're using it for what it's for. Do your research, get your work, check on them. Don't just leave them. I know a lot of people just say they got the Chromebook, they good. You got to check on them. All right. I would say also make sure they're prepared. Make sure preparation, and we all know this. Preparation is the key. If you aren't prepared, you're gonna fail. Yeah. What's the old adage? Not preparing is preparing to fail. I forget what adage is, but
failure to plan is planning to fail.
Yeah, that's it. And if you ain't got no plan, and these kids just coming in any old kind of way, they're gonna fail.
And that's
you gotta help them. Yeah, you gotta help them be prepared for what they're getting. But that's just it. I mean, it's not a whole bunch to that as far as being prepared. Make sure they get rest. These kids, a lot of parents, and this is what I found out just last year. I probably should have known this, but a lot of kids, their parents don't take away their phones or their Chromebooks at night, and these jokers are staying up to 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I had an incident where a girl showed me some inappropriate text from another classmate she had, and this was at 1:30 in the morning on a Tuesday night. And I'm like, one, he said this? And two, it's like, how's he have this? How does he have this still? So people aren't monitoring these phones, and they're doing whatever at all hours of the night, that is a problem.
Yeah.
Not only because of what you're looking at and what you're sending, but that whole light thing with your brain and everything else. If we want to get into the social emotional aspect of it all, that affects you, and
Yeah.
it hampers your ability to focus when I see you at 8:45 in the morning.
You're tired.
And you're tired, and
Yeah.
then you're falling asleep, and you can't write your notes, and you're just doing it's a whole thing, all because you stayed up too late with this technology. So technology can be good, but if it's not monitored and you don't keep up with your students with it can be a problem.
Those are all great points, Terry. I definitely agree with you on all of that. We need to make sure that we continuously monitor what our kids are taking in, especially from a technological perspective, because we have to be the gatekeepers of a lot of stuff, because it's too open. You know what I'm saying? It's just too open, too free. The other part, calling out that the readiness piece, like we have to get back into preparing our kids for their day, making sure that they understand that they have to approach things with the plan and that really try to help them get organized. And then that last piece of getting a good night's sleep is so crazy. You say that. Yes. My son, who is 18, graduated from high school, who'll be starting college this year. He had called me a couple years ago, and he was saying, "Dad, I can't sleep. I can't sleep. I can't sleep." I'm like, they like talking about giving him melatonin and all this stuff, and I'm like, that boy don't need no daggone melatonin. Right. I tell you what it is. He got all of them daggone lights flashing in his room from the PC and this and that and this, and he was like, because like I just asked him, I was like, Xavier, you got all them lights on in your room? He was like, yeah. I was like, so how can you sleep when all of these lights is just flashing with your eyes closed? Like, how do you really think you're gonna sleep? You're like, your brain is not shutting down. Right. And he turned all the stuff off. And he was like, he called me the next day. He was like, Dad, I ain't slept like that in a long time. I was like, wow. Yeah, all you had to do is turn them lights off. And he was good. He was good. So you're 100% right that we as parents have to pay attention to what our kids are using, how they're leveraging it, how long they're on those things, and then are they really taking the time to get the real rest that they need so that they're really prepared for the next day? I love that advice. CT, thank you for kicking that off. So I know we are coming close to the end. This has been a wonderful episode. I do think that we could probably pull an episode 3 and call Terry back in whenever he's ready. But yeah, all right. But I do want to go ahead and do the check-ins, of course, and make sure that we talk about those things, because it's the season 3. And we still need to hear from Grandma, because we haven't heard a lot from Grandma. Now, I know she's talked to us last week, but this week we need to know, CT, what would Grandma do?
But listen, this is one of my favorite segments, because as we think about season 3, season 1, she didn't necessarily have a way to intro the space. Season 2, she asked y'all to come close and said, "Come here, baby." But season 3, as we shared last week, she was like, "Listen up." Oh. So when Grandma in season 3 says, "Listen up," I thought it would only be fair and responsible for our word to be Terry. So Grandma would say, as you are thinking about generations, as you think about education, she said, "I want you to not Terry, but I want you to Terry." And she says, Terry would be the T, tell the truth. If you think about what you heard from our brother on this conversation today, his level of authenticity and how he wanted you to lean in, he is saying, as you think about how you educate yourself on the things that are needed and necessary in life, you've got to first tell the truth. Mm-hmm. And when you tell the truth, it can't be false. He says, make sure you got evidence, evidence that the thing that you are telling is accurate. You can't just decide that you heard somebody say something the way that they say it without you making sure you go research it yourself. Terry would say you've got to tell the truth and you've got to have evidence. And when you have evidence of the thing you've told the truth in, you must be responsible. That's your first R. Responsible to do the thing that the evidence says you should do because you told yourself the truth. Now, when you are responsible in the thing that you're telling, you know what people around you become? responsive. Terry would say that the people around you, when they see you being responsible for the thing that you said that you knew that was the truth because you got evidence in it, they respond to you differently. They react to you differently. They will come to you, and just like the students come to Terry, they recognize that he's responsible for the things that he has done in the classroom because he's done all of the work necessary to show the evidence, because the truth that he told in the classroom was going to make sure that they could respond in the way that they needed to. But let's be real clear that the why is about Terry. Now, one might say that the why is probably the most important of the Terry things you could do. I don't know if our Terry does this why, but ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, when grandma says, I got something to tell you, and I need you to listen up, the action that you must take so that you can be responsive and responsible, because you got the evidence, you need to take up yoga. That's your why. Because if you don't have some way to level yourself out, something that pulls you out, that allows you to be mindful and allows you to self-regulate the things that you are responsive to because you've been responsible because the evidence was good, shoot, telling the truth real hard if you haven't found a way to let yoga be your friend. So grandma says, listen up, because I don't want you to miss the Terry in your life is going to help you be better. Thank you.
That was good.
That was good.
All right, Grandma.
I don't do no yoga though, but that was good.
Yeah, well, Terry,
please do not allow
go to
that.
Yeah, Terry, we need you to do a little yoga every now and then.
Like, ain't having that.
It's the good stuff. Just child pose and
I do that. I do
yeah, there you go. Yeah, there we go. That's it.
Yeah. Cobra.
Yeah, cobra. Yeah, cat, cow, cobra, snake. You know what I'm saying? Just work on a couple of them. You be all right. Ain't nobody asked you to go be a yoga guru or anything. You about to go namaste. Like no. Well, CT, thank you so much for walking us through what grandma do at this point. Terry, I know for a fact that you absolutely love to know, Johnny, what you got?
How do I turn this off? How do I? Oh, goodness. Listen, this was such a good episode. I have so many more things that I want to talk about. So, Terry, you are going to have to come back. Even just around that education piece, there's so many things to say. And needless to say, I'm so proud. But something that, like, as we were listening, we're talking about education and listening to the things that Terry was sharing, it kept coming to mind that it's about those little things, right? It's the small little things that you can do every day. So accountability, I really think, and I think Terry would agree, that it starts at home, right? It starts at home. And raising kids is not easy. We've talked about this over our last couple of seasons, and listen, it is not an easy thing, but it's just those little small things can make a difference. So Terry used to, especially when the girls were little, he used to wake up, especially in the winter too, wake up and fix them breakfast every morning because he knew that a hot breakfast would get your day started. And that was, and it could just be toast and eggs, right? Just getting something started. Talking to your kids, setting a time limit on their phones so that they can go to bed a little bit or half an hour earlier, right? It's those little everyday things that will make a huge difference in how they interact with each other, their social and emotional health, the performance in school, all of those things. So while I know that parenting is so hard and it's such a big thing to tackle, and you want to be able to fix it all and do it all for your children and be the perfect parent, we can't, but we can start with those small things and having conversations and holding them accountable and letting them know, like, what you do now creates habits for the future. Right. And so CT, you said something really powerful at the beginning of this conversation, that like what he's saying really mirrors what we see every day, what the three of us see every day. Yeah. I say that to him all the time, like, oh my gosh, you sound like us. That's the stuff that we talk about, or they come to you first, but then we get them with those same habits. So try those little small habits. Actually, what'd you say?
I said, that's crazy. Actually, like, it carries on. Adults do this too. And I guess it's consistent though. But God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Terry's like, I would lose my job if I would work there with y'all. I'm dealing with these folks. But So just the little things really matter, and don't think you have to tackle everything at one time. The little things make a huge difference.
Yeah, it's good, Johnny.
I agree with that. Thank you, Johnny, my liege. I appreciate it. Johnny got gems, as always. What's Johnny got? She got gems. So your message from your AOC today, I'm just gonna kind of cut across everything because everybody, had very valid points of what it is that we're experiencing, what this new climate of education is like, how we have to be very diligent to navigate this landscape, right? I will say, I'm sorry, but we don't care. And when I say that, I say it to be very honest, but there's a lot of people who make excuses for why they don't do things, why they don't turn in their homework, why their parents didn't do X, Y, and Z. The parents come into the school and they make it everything becomes a guilt trip or a pity party. But at the end of the day, if the first thing I can do is throw up my pity party gloves and everybody kind of buys in, like, oh, pity party, I'm so sorry you're going through it. It's okay. You don't have to deal with the real world. You can go into, what is it? Solipsistic. I'll work on it. But you see the world from your narrow perspective of reality, and you don't see that your actions lead to you ending up with the results you have because you didn't care. So if you are a kid or you're a parent out there, and I'm the ALC, I'm allowed to say this, and you're out there messing up, we don't care. What we do care about is that you want to try. And if you want to try and you want to give effort towards something and you need tools and you need those things, we want to be here to help you. That's what teachers do. That's what I worked in the school. If you show up and you needed a pencil, they're going to give you a pencil. But if you show up without that pencil, but you just using it to tap on the table, we ain't got no pencils for you. That's what I mean by we don't really care. And we've all pushed ourselves into that place. And I think it is a societal defense mechanism from the fact that you can't hold people accountable, and people will always, if you set expectations on people, they will disappoint you. So let's remove disappointment by not being accountable, and then nobody cares. So I just wanted everybody to go with me on that because we don't care. Okay.
Listen. That sounds very similar.
We gotta care. We gotta get these scores, man.
But listen,
there are funding issues without them.
Listen, I think it really does speak to what Terry was saying earlier, when he talked about like this world is like outside. It was all about our daughters, right?
Yeah.
Outside of this house, between the two of us, no one really cares, right?
They don't care.
Nobody cares, right?
So I do think to a certain degree, I totally get what you're saying. You have to hold yourself accountable. You have to want it. You have to show up. And everybody fails and makes mistakes and all of that. But like, what is your brand? Like, who are you? Who are you showing up? Are you a person of integrity that just made a mistake? Or are you the person that always got an excuse? Right?
And then why should somebody care? Right? Like, you don't give, a lot of people don't even give good reasons for you to care. You're like, okay, like, all right, that was dumb. Why should I care?
Yes,
I mean, you got slapped in the face. That's what happened to me. Why should I care? So, I mean, I get it. Okay. All right. So,
slap in the face, too.
Yeah. I'm just saying. So I thank you so much for being on the episode today, Terry. We will have you back. This has been a phenomenal conversation. I think there's so many gems that we could pull out of this. And want to pay just the utmost respect to all of the work that you do and your colleagues for being the first line of educational defense out there in the world to get our kids to the goals that we're helping them set and they set themselves. So thank you for being the soldiers that go out there and make it happen.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you. I hope I've given you, enough information to help you out and have the listener, not the listeners, the people who watch, you know, get something from it. You know,
they listen and watch. Yeah, they do both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, thank you. And if you need me back, you know, I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, we know.
You know,
We'll definitely have to have you back. You know, but have a great school year since I know it's about to start. Yeah, I know.
Yes,
Yeah, I know. But we gotta cheer you in because
see why you have to say that. See?
Cheers, bro.
Go down on the
Gotta be
Sprite.
there until you
That's
say
right.
it.
Cheers. Cheers to you. Cheers.
All right. So CT, do you got any final thoughts?
Terry, thank you. Right. You know,
absolutely, you're welcome.
You know, I think Eric, you know, shared, you know, as you were going into this, I was going to call it a war zone is what hit my head, but as you were going to battle on behalf of our children, you know, I pray God's grace and wisdom over you, man. I pray that you and your fellow teachers would continue to see every day that you are light in those spaces. And even if there's isn't accountability in someone's home, those children get a chance to see through you what is good, what is right, what is true, what is honorable. And as they see that, they will then have an example. And so thank you for being an example. Thank you for continuing to be the man that all of us need to continue to see, so that Johnny can continue to show up on his pod. Because if you wasn't together, then she wouldn't be together the way she's together, and then the pod would be all jacked up. So and I appreciate you, bro, and thanks for coming on the pod, man, for real.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. This is humbling, y'all, saying all these good words. She don't be saying this stuff at the house.
Terry, you got any final thoughts? This is your opportunity to throw under the bus.
No, my thing is when y'all gonna come out, man? When y'all gonna come out so we can get off this camera type deal?
We talked about that earlier. She won't invite us.
That's not true. That's not true.
I was just one of her best friends is one of her good friends is one of my best friends in like 20 plus years. She lives across the street. She's like, I've never been over there. I'm like, yeah. They don't invite us Northsiders to the Easterling things.
No, that's not true. That's not true. We will have y'all out for sure.
Yeah, okay, season 8. No, don't worry, that's not your job. We got somebody for that. Go ahead and throw up that hashtag for me real quick because he's been doing pretty good today. But yeah, you know what you are. Okay, jumper cables because he be starting. All right, Johnny, what about you? Your final thoughts, ma'am?
Oh my goodness. I may be a little biased here, but this has been the best episode. I could sit here and talk to him forever, which is what we do all the time. But no, I appreciate you for coming onto the show and also for just being the man that you are. I know that you're really hating this and you really hope that this stops very, very soon, but you're a man of integrity and the way you show up for your kids at school and to know that he answered a call at 9 years old and he's still that same person today and the way that he shows up for us and his girls. And I cannot say how much I appreciate you for the person you are. And I hope you come back on. I probably embarrassed you enough.
Not enough.
And there's so many more things that we could talk about, even just around that education topic. Good Lord. I just appreciate you so much. And I love you.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Next
coming.
time you're gonna talk about Johnny. Next time you're gonna educate us on Johnny. It's okay. Keep going.
Y'all got time?
No, the show is over. Thank you so much. And yeah. That's it.
That's how we ended the show.
That's how we do it. That's it.
Okay. So no, but thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for listening and all of the feedback and all of the love that we get. Thank you again, Terry, for being here. I don't really have any final thoughts. My final thoughts are going to be the ones that we wrap up. So again, thank you all for tuning in to the 3rd episode of season 3, where we are going to be doing these generational conversations. This is the first time we had a part 2 to something, guys. I mean, we're actually going to be building a lot this season to try to make sure that we have continual conversations and we stay within a thematic topic. But we're also going to be off the cuff, because once we get into, you know, the election time, boy, we're going to have a lot of live and free form conversations. Because, you know what I'm saying? We got a lot. Yeah, I'm about to say, like, it's about to go down when we can have the political conversation, but we're gonna hold that off until November, because I think we said we do like October going into November, right? Something like that. Yeah, but
you keep your thoughts to yourself for now.
Yeah, we doing politics. We're gonna pull it in. We're gonna pull it in. But you can always find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere that you're listening to your podcast or your hip hop or R&B or country music. I listen to everything. I listen to lo-fi and everything. Please, if you are on any of the platforms, please like, share, comment, 5-star these pieces, because we make this content because we are motivation and we want to be motivational to you. Thank you so much from your EMM crew, and you already know what to do, because you can just chill until the next episode. Peace, everybody. Have a good night.
Peace.